to discuss. When it come to news, ain't no better than us. When it come to news, ain't no one you can trust. We got a lot to touch, so it's time to crush. We got a lot to discuss. When it come to news, ain't no better than us. When it come to news, ain't no one you can trust. We got a lot to touch, so it's time to crush. So it's time to crush.
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. And it's a wonderful weekend. I know what it is, my friend. It's Sunday. Let's begin. Let's have some fun. Let's get it done. Back at it again. Yeah. I don't know. That was inside of me. I had to let it out. I know you got a chance to watch Iron Lord's podcast today. And today, right now, this is Sunday. So we do have some information. Now, sometimes CEOs back you. And sometimes other ones are real critical of what they see. Now, today, I came across a game. And Sands of Aura. Please, I want you to bear with me with this because I'm going to talk about it and I'm just going to let you see the trailer and stuff like that because I really want this game to succeed. Right? I just found it. So again, please. But if it's your first time finding the channel, if you love Xbox, then you love me, the King. I go live Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on the weekend, I drop videos. But Friday is the most special day of all because on Friday, within the show, we do Fight Night Fridays. 6:30 on Fridays, we game together. Jump in the Discord. We all have a great time and we all fight for our lives and whatever the chosen game is. Members dictate pace. So please take my invitation and become a sub. But we do have a lot of information that we want to talk about today. We do want to talk about the highly controversial PlayStation 5 Pro, the last console from Sony, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about how maybe they didn't want it. But we're going to delve deeper into why is Marathon failing. We're going to have an honest look at what the hell is going on at Sony with them getting rid of Bluepoint. And finally, you guys are waking up to see what I've been telling you for a long time. There's a level of mismanagement over in the Sony camp. And finally, no matter how much you pay people to put out hit pieces and to tell you stuff like PlayStation is pulling back from PC, no matter how much you do it, they're starting to see that the emperor has no clothes. But I can't wait to get into these topics because these topics are the topics that are going to make you go, Plenty of times hidden gems come out and we don't get a chance to see them if we're not on the platform. Well, for many years, a title, unbeknownst to the King, Sands of Aura, was released. Now, this was released on Steam a while ago. And I'm hearing about it now because it's on my platform of choice. And this is where the whole concept of what's old to you is new to me comes into play. This game is a Souls-like that's about more than just punishment. Souls-like has to mean many things to a bunch of different players. For some players, it's a shorthanded punishing difficulty with gritty worlds and ever-present get good mentality. But when I spoke to the team behind Sands of Aura, they described a different foundation, a classic CRPG design, meaningful quests, progressions that reward general engagement. They said they grew up on CRPGs filled with rich, meaningful quests, character exploration that reward general engagement. John Sadler, programmer at Chashu Entertainment, games where progress demanded real effort and skills. That philosophy is reflected throughout Sands of Aura. The developers wanted players to know that the characters understand the world and feel the story that is present and not hidden behind vague lore fragments. They also lean heavily into build crafting and experimentation. We wanted to give players an enormous flexibility to create wild, different, deeply customizable builds that synergize in unexpected, sometimes absurdly powerful ways, Sadler said. We weren't afraid to let you break the game in fun and creative directions. That flexibility is a major part of what makes the game feels personal. You're not just surviving the world, you're shaping it. How you survive it. Fast reactive combat with room for experimentation is the fundamental core of Sands of Aura. The design is to teach combat rhythm quickly, fast, reactive, loop build around attacking, dodging, blocking, parrying, weaving, spellbinding abilities to create openings and capitalize on them. The goal is for players to feel the tempo, the combat, the early, while realizing that there are hundreds of viable builds and playstyles waiting to be explored. They're targeting a new assist build for the controller flow. See, because this was made with PC in mind, but now that it's released on console, February 26th, it's more of a reawakening of Sands of Aura, if you will. More kind of like a reimagining. The result is a faster, more reliable skill execution that keeps combat fluid and responsive without removing player control. A sea, sand, or sand sea world designed for scale and discovery. Exploration of Sands of Aura is split between two distinct spaces: the islands where the main story and action unfold, and the sand sea, which gives you room to breathe, reflect, and chart your own course. Instead of using traditional overworld maps where you simply select a location and move on, the team wanted to travel itself to create a sense of distance and scale. We could have gone the traditional route of the overworld map and choosing the next island. Instead, Sadler said they prioritized making the world feel vast, deep, and full of rich distance. A compass UI that supports exploration without a minimap is the fun way to explore. Balance updates that make builds more fun to commit to. The game itself rewards you. Enemies and bosses were also tuned to support the experimentation with adjusted health pools and damage output. We made a lot of changes to reduce the friction between committing to a build and allowing players to experiment. There should now be a bit more back and forth play, like a dance between boss and player. You can begin your journey, if you choose, February 26th. And I know that it's passed already, but again, the game has intrigued me in such a manner. It's only $19.99. I will highly encourage you to check out the game. I know it may not mean much, but $19.99, you can't beat that with a baseball bat.
Hear me. There is always a cost. Obsession has turned our world into dust, into sand. We struggle, believing it will save us. But there is beauty, even here. Hidden in twilight. The choice is yours. Will you be twisted by your conviction? Will you wield it?
Now, there has been a bit of a controversy when it comes to Resident Evil Requiem. The comparisons between the Series X and the Series S is vast. The comparison between the other console versions and the Pro is vast within itself. The PC version stands tall above all, but had this game been played anywhere, well then certain decisions could have been made for this to be had. Now, I do have a Series X, and I do have a Series S, and I do have a powerful PC. And all of those work in synergy along with my Xbox ROG Ally. But if that common thread with XPA isn't initiated, well then you have to go with what's best where you like to play. So I took my talents to South Beach and I went and got the PlayStation Pro version. I know for some people that may not mean much, but had Xbox did what they said they was going to do, then I would have did what I said I would do and support them no matter what, through thick and thin. Had it been inside Game Pass, then you know that was a double win. But you didn't do two or one. You did none, twin. So I got to tell you, sorry, you made me choose. I'm a graphic whore, and that's what's going to happen. But between these two versions, the Xbox Series X is far superior. Do it how you wilt when it comes to Resident Evil. But understand, if you claim to support some type of feature of your ecosystem, when a AAA title comes through, you better hope you keep it true. Now, I don't believe a lot of this hogwash, but I believe in the money. Consoles where PlayStation wants to be. Reports indicate Sony is pulling away from PC for single-player PlayStation games. Now, I don't believe that to be true. Actually, I believe them to be understaffed, underpowered, and don't really know how to maintain maintenance when it comes to PC games. With every iteration of GPUs, they must make sure that their games are less buggy. Spider-Man 2 for PC was not a good look, and it still hasn't been a great look since then. A lot of times, their efforts when it comes to PC titles have been kind of lackluster. Some titles reaching lofty goals with Ghost of Tsushima. other titles like Spider-Man not hitting that mark. So I can understand how they want to tighten up their ship, but they're also having their own launcher. And with their own launcher, they'll be focusing on that. I do believe that the people that spread this information wants to undermine the Magus. The Magnus from Xbox is a device that is going to play Steam games, Epic Games, Xbox games, GOG games. And I also believe that by putting this out there, because we know that the next PlayStation console will not be ready until 2030. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. You know what it is. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. And if and when Xbox gets that long head start, well then, by that time, consoles will be a thing of the past. And Xbox will usher in a new paradigm of how home console gaming is seen, viewed, and utilized. With them scrapping the PlayStation 6 entirely and doubling down on what they do have to offer. I think the PlayStation is in a desperate attempt of survival right now. This type of propaganda that has been handed out to individuals, disseminated through groups, through a couple of individuals, to try to mitigate what momentum Xbox is having, does not change a thing. Because next month, Nixus, my heart, through Sony Publishing, brings out Death Stranding 2 to PC, which I will definitely be playing on my Xbox ROG Ally X. And soon as I get my Magnus console, we'll be playing it directly through there. But by that time, we will have Death Stranding 2 on the Xbox platform, which most likely will be Play Anywhere. Thank you, Kojima. I appreciate you. Now, from the very first moment I purchased but I always felt that the upscaler inside was underbaked, undercooked. And I thought Mark Cerny definitely didn't do it any services when he tried to explain it. But just recently, they released the Pisser 2. And the Pisser update finally fulfills PlayStation's promises of getting ray tracing on consoles at 60 frames per second. The Pisser finally actually makes the PlayStation 5 Pro exactly what they said it would be. I'm happy that they continue to work on their in-house upscaler because FSR wasn't going to do it. Finally, they understood that they needed to get to work to bring forth something that makes this last console for them, hashtag no PlayStation 6. You know what it is. We're going to run it up on these bums. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. Worth it. A lot of players have dismissed it. A lot of PlayStation players have mocked it. A lot of PlayStation owners refuse to upgrade to it. So I laugh because I finally got the last laugh on individuals with this Resident Evil Requiem running the way it runs with ray tracing and HDR. Finally, yes, if you take into account you paid a substantial amount of more money than the average player that's playing on a PlayStation 5 base or the Series X. Now, the Series X is superior than the PlayStation 5 base, and the PlayStation 5 base is superior than the Nintendo Switch 2, which is slightly superior to the Series S, give or take. So, yes, you pay more to get what they said they was going to give you. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be real with you. I'm a gamer, and I'm just happy that this thing actually is doing what they said they was going to do. That's it. You know, I've always purchased hardware. I'm a hardware hog, and I go out and try to get as much hardware as I possibly can. So here's to me for being 98% right all the time. I hope you went out and got PlayStation's last console, the PlayStation 5 Pro. PlayStation fans are furious, and they're taking it out on Marathon. Now, you're going to start seeing articles like this pop up for the reasons why Marathon is going to fail. They're upset that Sony got rid of Bluepoint. These PlayStation fanboys can't wrap their head around how terrible Sony is, how they mismanage everything they get a hand on. With uncertainty wrapped around every corner, from developers like Nixxes, even Naughty Dog, Ben Studios, Bungie themselves are looking at the chopping block. Bluepoint is a stark contrast of the Sony we knew and the Sony that we know. Now, you're going to get articles telling you the reason why Marathon is failing and why Marathon will fail. And they will give you every reason under the sun except for the fact that Marathon isn't fun. But if you don't believe me, I want you to look at what Digital Foundry had to say.
World where great games kind of need to go multi-platform. It never did. Why? Weird. And then of course we move into the acquisition period, and similar to the guy from Taken, Bluepoint have a particular set of skills, right? Yeah. And for some unknown reason, those particular set of skills weren't deployed on the things that they've actually got a proven track record for doing. And the work they've actually done for Sony in the past. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they've completed. They've kind of set the templates. They are the masters of the remaster. Now, I suspect they probably wanted to break free of that, and I think there was a yearning to do original content, which I think is fair enough. They earned it.
Sure.
But doing games as a service version of God of War, if as a one-line pitch, it's not particularly great, is it?
That's a real quick no. That's a hard pass. Absolutely not. Very uninterested in that option.
The question is, was that something the studio pitched? Was it something that Sony wanted them to do? A combination of the two? In the meantime, you've got stuff like, why can't the original Uncharted games, which they've adapted, by the way, why can't they come to PC? Why can't they be enhanced for PlayStation 5? Yeah. There's this massive elephant in the room about Bloodborne. There is no remaster of Bloodborne.
In the case of that,
might be a From Software
thing. I was going to say that's probably From Software, like limiting access to it, because they are notoriously protective. And I don't think they were a fan of the Bluepoint remake. I don't agree with them, but they are the original creators, so whatever. But
none of it's true. None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lied.
There's plenty of other projects they could have done.
Yeah. So we've got this weird situation where years have been spent on a title that doesn't really excite anybody. And where do you go from there? An entire console generation basically since they shipped that original game with no end product. I'm kind of concerned about Bend at this point. Bend Studio, they've not shipped anything this generation apart from Days Gone remastered.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot to be worried about.
It just feels like, Rich, there's this lack of vision and willingness to accept that sometimes there's downs, and like investing in talent is important. Cultivating that talent even during these down periods, like eventually they're going to cut so much that there's nothing left. And I think this is one of the keys to Nintendo's long-term success, is that they don't behave like this, and it has paid off for them hugely.
Right.
True.
Yeah, Alex, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking at this article on CNBC here about PlayStation maker Sony overcomes memory crunch to post 22% jump in profits. This is from just the beginning of February, about their profit and revenue from the last year. They're up in profit. Their revenue, more similar over the same period of last year, but the core driver is still their games division. And it feels like if you're posting profits and a similar revenue in spite of market conditions, which might say you shouldn't be, if you look at everyone else, like Microsoft maybe, why are you cutting one studio's... like John, I'm just like flabbergasted that this is the studio that they would cut. It's not even a huge team, from what I understand. It's apparently only like 70 people or so, which isn't even very large in the AAA space.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
With articles like an absolute eyesore, Marathon's biggest issue seems to be its poor UI, user interface design that is confusing players. I have no idea where I'm at, what I'm looking at, what I'm supposed to do. And now the kids are calling it font slop. Marathon Server Slam has fully begun. And a ton of people are walking away from it in droves, forcing individuals to finally realize that it's not good. One of our best competitive gamers, Ninja, this is hand downs one of the most complex menus I've ever seen in my life, Ninja says in a clip posted on socials. I have no idea where I'm at and what I'm looking at. I'm starting to get it, but there's like a million menus. The issue isn't that the user interface looks a bit clunky, with mismatched fonts and styles alongside a bright neon color scheme, which is slightly headache-inducing, but there's also way too many sections and subsections. When compromising your character, there's a shell select, and which determines which character you're playing. Then there's a loadout, a vault, or armory, all of which have multiple features to tweak and items to select, and it doesn't seem like it's very intuitive at all. This is just one of the articles based upon the demise of Marathon. Sometimes harsh realities weigh us down. Sometimes the perspective of individuals, be it half full or half empty, can have them perceive a situation in a way that their perception only sees. Now, sometimes it takes an individual that has been there from the very beginning, somebody that has created something from nothing. When a creator talks about their prodigy, their child that they made, people must listen. Well, the co-creator, Seamus Blackley, feels that the new CEO, no matter the pledge not to have AI slop, for all intents and purposes, is only there as a palliative care doctor when it comes to ushering in the Xbox platform into a sunsetting form. Xbox co-founder Seamus Blackley thinks the new CEO, Asha Sharma, will slide Xbox gently into the night and focus on AI. Sharma says that she won't flood the ecosystem with soulless AI slop. That led a lot of people to believe, is Xbox on its last legs? One of the co-founders suspects Microsoft is looking to sunset the Xbox, but the division's new boss promises a recommitment to the Xbox, starting with the console. In an interview with GamesBeat, Seamus Blackley argues that the Xbox, like a lot of businesses that aren't core AI businesses at Microsoft, will be sunsetted. He points out to the recent departure of a longtime Xbox chief, Phil Spencer, who was being replaced by Asha Sharma, who most recently served as the head of Microsoft's core AI division. Mr. Blackley said, I expect that Sharma's job is going to be a palliative care doctor who slides Xbox gently into the night, he says. Blackley joined Microsoft in 1999 and pitched the Xbox concept. He left the company in 2002 and joined the Creative Artists Agency, where he represented video game developers. He's currently CEO of Pacific Light and Hologram, a startup that is still in stealth mode, according to the website. But his opinion is Microsoft is a company that is now enabling its customers by enabling AI to drive things, Blackley said to GamesBeat. Microsoft's investment in AI dwarfs any other big bets, he suggests. Everything is a Gen AI problem. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's possible to solve that. It is deciding factor in whether or not you believe Xbox will continue to exist and what you believe Microsoft will do with Xbox. Blackley argues that gaming is a proven business model, while generative AI is not. Gamers, he jokes, are not famously tolerant, especially of people outside of gaming claiming they know what the industry needs. I understand exactly his trepidation when it comes to it. I understand exactly what he means. And it's with these statements that shook up the foundation of what was sure to be the momentum for Asha's reign as the new CEO at Xbox. Not even a week later, somebody had a change of heart. Xbox co-creator Seamus Blackley walks back comments comparing the new boss to a palliative care doctor of ushering Xbox into the sweet dark night. Mr. Blackley, co-creator of the original Xbox, has compared the new head of the brand to a palliative care doctor. A palliative care doctor. Soon after, Blackley insisted that Xbox won't die. He walked back those statements based upon realizing that his comments has stirred up a hornet's nest. The problem with that is once you start and you push in a certain direction, sometimes momentums take you over the edge. And his comments took on a new life of its own. He said, it seems to be true. I'm imagining somebody, if it made sense, to put a major motion picture studio in the hands of somebody who didn't like movies, or a major record label into the hands of somebody who'd never seen a live show. Why would you do that? Well, you'll only do that if you're looking at the problem in a more abstract way. Blackley theorizes. The natural consequence of focus on AI is that the AI abstracts every problem from the minds of the executives who believe in it, while abstracting the problem of games as well. There's a core belief, and you can see it in what Satya says, that AI would subsign games. Now, I don't believe this to be true. I do not believe that to be a thing, but I can understand it from Blackley's thought process. That's exactly how Satya believes. Like it would subsign everything he cautions. The job of all these people is to just gently usher all these business units into a new world of AI. And that is to be true. That is not to be a lie. That is just definitely to be 100% the course. That is no way surprising. It will be shocking if they had somebody in their meaningful role with a passionate, if they had somebody in this role that was supremely passionate about video games, that will undermine the whole vision. Someone passionate about creator-driven business of games because it will be in direct conflict with everything else Microsoft is doing. Microsoft is a company that is now enabling customers and enabling AI to drive things. that's at odds with the auteur model of any art, but specifically games. Microsoft doesn't have the problem that Apple does or that Netflix does, where they have an auteur-driven content model to manage. Games are the only place where they have content business, he says. But after this conversation, just 24 hours later, Blackley clarified, I have been asked 59 times now due to what I've said in this last article. No, Xbox is not dead. I love Xbox as my own flesh and blood. It's the most wonderful thing to me. The distress and pain and kills me, haunts me. But progress requires introspective realism. Learning is pain. We have to understand, no one wants to see what they created disappear and go away. We all want the best for Xbox. And to this end, I surely believe Blackley wants that as well. If it was up to him, he would have somebody that is corely driven and content creating and developer driven games. But that's not to be. So of course he would look at it in a negative light. We have to give Mr. Blackley the benefit of the doubt. Well, I want to thank each and every last one of you for making it this long, but I do want to talk about a lot of stuff. Like, see, the state of Xbox, and it's great to scrutinize. I'm happy that Seamus Blackley felt that he's not just going to sit back and just say Asha is okay, because he understands exactly the core business of Microsoft is AI, and pushing them in that direction is Satya Nadella. And of course, Asha comes from AI, so to be critical, remember, this is his baby. This is what he created, co-created. He was there. He was in the delivery room. So for him to say, I think she's here to destroy my baby, you got to understand that comes from a different space. That comes from a different energy. But I'm glad Peter Moore came out with a different level of thinking, a critical eye in thinking. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people reached out to Blackley, and for him to have a change of heart 24 hours later, that speaks volumes into what was probably said or unsaid. But we turn our attention to the so-called superstar, PlayStation. We realize that he can bleed. He can be killed. With the fan base turning on you from what you've done to Bluepoint, with putting fear, uncertainty, and doubt within every studio, with everything hinging on Bungie and Marathon, Bend Studios on shaky knees, Naughty Dog seems to have lost their direction, Sony Santa Monica, we really don't know what the hell is going on over there. With the house of Sony looking like a house of cards that is falling apart at the seams. With Bend Studios and Nixus not knowing, because if you walk away from putting your games on PC, well, then what is the sense of Nexus? You see, a lot of times it takes a champ to get complacent for you to finally start to see the flaws within the system. I've always seen the flaws. I've always been critical. That's why I made sure I went out and got my PlayStation 5 Pro. I wanted to be one of those people that has owned the last console that they put out, because I purchased the first console that they put out. I purchased every console that they've ever had. I became disenchanted with them at the end of the PlayStation 3 era, going into the PlayStation 4, when I started to realize the lies, when they told me about the fast SSD and all this other stuff that wasn't true. I didn't like how they treated certain CEOs and stuff like that. And I know you're going to say, King, Xbox lies too. They were on the clock. I'm a gamer. Gamers are fickle. We go where we want. We spend our money how we choose because we are consumers and we consume what we want, not what you feel that we need. Many a times I've sat back and I watch people just idly support and is loyal to something, knowing that what they're purchasing is inferior. I don't live by that credo. I buy what I want, do it how I want it, and I have everything. So if one acts up, I moved over this way. But my heart is always Xbox because Xbox has given me the fondest, greatest memories of gaming. But I've always had different champions, TurboGrafx, Neo Geo. But I see now that Sony is hedging their bets on Marathon. And in my opinion, Marathon feels like if you waged war in an operation room. Sterile, bland, and lacking. And then in between, it just gives you this weird menu system that is overlapping, convoluted, and just not good. They try to have esoteric meanings when it comes to things, and it's lost in translation. You did fix a lot of the stuff that I asked for, but that is just missing something. While Xbox needs to fundamentally make sure that Play Anywhere is on every title, not just select titles. I don't care how you do it. With Crimson Desert coming out, it's Play Anywhere. You should have made sure that the Resident Evil was Play Anywhere. Every title coming to your platform must adopt that strategy. Because it's your ace in the hole. Right now, critically, PlayStation has upped their game with the PSSR2, the Pisser 2. You have upped your game with Play Anywhere. You decided to skip a mid-gen refresh in order to bring us Magnus. I'm supporting you. Asha says we're going straight into hardware. We have tons of software. So I'm focused on that part. But understand, if the Pisser continues to be the Pisser 3 by 2027, the Pisser 4 by 2028, there's no need to upgrade the PlayStation 5 Pro. They will continue to put out titles after titles after titles based upon better upscaling solutions inside the device. That's why I don't believe there's a PlayStation 6. There's different things here at play. While, of course, the Magnus will have FSR 4, 5, 6, AMD will support it. We are in for a treat, a true battle. We're going to watch. We're going to cheer on our champions. But most of all, we see two business models. One that is betting everything on the marathon, and one that's in it for the long haul. Well, this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. If you liked anything that you've seen here today, well, please hit that sub, hit that like, share it out, let everybody know. And you remember, you got this video early. I am truly appreciative. I read every comment. I respond to you guys. I appreciate each and every last one of you. But what I want you to do is what I try to do, what you should be doing, is I want you to go where gamers game and winners win. And I want you to try to play the Game Pass.
My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money?